And
Dad was always teased, so we were always teasing each other, But we were on a big hunt. It was where you drop off the top. Do you remember that, Bev?
No,
Dad, you
I
remember
never
what
went
that
out
was?
hunting.
how old were you?
Behind the cabin?
No, the front, like when you
Oh,
get there, you
oh,
go to the top, and
yes.
you can take a right, right?
Yes, behind.
Or then you go down. Well, we
Right.
went to the top and then hunted all the way back down
How
to
old
the
were
cabin.
you?
7,
Okay.
about 7. And Dad just got in a really bad area, got in a real bad spot. And there was a cliff, and he had to swing me across with my BB gun. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Mhm.
But we were joking, we made jokes about it. We weren't worried about it, you know what I mean? We laughed
If you were to fall, how far of a
quite
drop?
a ways.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not gonna let go of that BB gun.
Oh my gosh.
And he told you not to tell Mom.
Yeah.
Well, jokingly, that was all big joke.
But didn't you come back and say, Dad
Yeah.
tried to kill me?
Yeah, so, oh, Mom, yeah, whatever.
Mom, Dad tried to kill me.
But,
That's funny.
yeah, that was one
That's
of many
scary.
hunts we did.
Yeah. There's a lot of good memories there at the deer
Oh,
club.
man.
So what else do you remember about Jan Drive then, about that time? You were at Thomas Kelly in first grade.
She never went to Thomas Kelly. I did.
Yes,
You
you
did.
did.
You
You
both-
both-
you both
you
did.
both did. First
I
grade.
never knew you went
Yeah.
to Thomas Kelly.
First grade.
Yeah, Mrs. Hathaway was her teacher.
Yeah.
And I
Didn't
was-
she
I
say I
was
was a
memories.
problem child or something?
Well,
Yeah, I get those.
I was doing my
never
student
knew that.
teaching at Thomas Kelly when she was in first grade, Mrs. Hathaway. And you were having some not a problem child, but you were having some educational, issues. So I started working with you at home and, in phonics and in reading. And in the teacher's room, Mrs. Hathaway said, I can tell that you're working with your little sister because you started doing really much better in reading.
Yeah, I was never a good student. Just never was.
Debbie, I remember the time though, I think it was first grade or maybe it was kindergarten, when you were supposed to go to school and get the bus, but you would hide behind the washer and dryer.
I never liked school.
Yeah, and Mom and Dad would have to go drag you out of there. Screaming. Your Dad was at work, so Mom would go get you and you'd be screaming. She'd have to take you to the bus.
Well, she chased her with a broom.
Well, that was later. She was in high school when that happened.
No way.
I didn't want to go to high school either.
I thought it was when she was at Thomas Kelly, Mom chased her with the broom.
I don't know. That might have happened too.
Mom
but
chased me with a broom when I was in high
To
school.
get on the bus, not high school. It was Thomas Kelly.
Oh,
You're
that's funny.
if you're in first grade, you're going backwards again because that would put me back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
This is how we
But I
do
know
that.
it was Thomas Kelly when you were hiding behind the washer and dryer, and it happened more than once.
So when did
Yeah.
you go to St. John's? Second grade?
Second grade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
you were in Thomas Kelly when
They
I
probably
was teaching
kindergarten.
third
When I was-
grade.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
When I was
And
in
just-
kindergarten.
But Justine was the year after you, right?
No, she's 3 years after me.
3 years.
Yeah.
Because she also, this is
She's
my
in Becky's
niece. Now,
class.
this is Joanne's daughter. Also went to Thomas Kelly while I was teaching third grade there.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming into my classroom.
Yeah, sometimes Mom and Dad, so you could drive me home, I guess, right? Because I would have to come into your class. I was always being sent. I used to get sent to her classroom at St. John's because I'd get in trouble all the
Yeah,
time.
it was always.
And they'd always bring me into her class and yell at her.
Yeah.
I always thought that was pretty
Take
funny.
care of your brother. I'm like, you're embarrassing me.
What did he do wrong?
Oh, he was always getting in trouble. I don't know. What did you do? You just.
Oh, you remember that time I punched Bobby Higgins? That was the worst thing ever. Yeah, I thought I killed him. I've never seen so much blood at that time.
Is that Pat Higgins' brother?
No, Bobby
Oh.
Higgins was different.
That was it
Okay.
when you were at St. John's?
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, Bobby
Is
Higgins.
that
He
why
was a
they
real
s-
bully. He was picking on everybody, and
Uh,
he punched me in the stomach, and I think it said something to Dad about it. He goes, well, punch him in the nose. You know, that's what Dad's,
Dad.
right? So,
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
so the next, I don't know how many days later, here's John Flynn backing up, and Bobby Higgins is picking on him. He's punching him. And he said, hey, leave him alone. And I can't remember what he said or did, but I punched him right in the nose. Man, I hit him so hard. And they picked him up. John Flynn will tell you too. I thought he was dead too. They laid him. Remember those counters in the back where the sink was?
Yeah.
There's a sink with a
Yeah.
countertop. And there's blood everywhere. I thought, that's it. My life's over. I'm going to jail now. Yeah.
Funny.
Killed him.
Oh, God. there they marched him back into my classroom. Why did they always do that? What
I
am I
don't know.
supposed
That's
to
funny,
do?
huh? I don't know.
Well, is that why they sent you, you left St. John's and they put you back at Thomas
I
Kelly?
just-
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Because
Just
well,
kicked
it
you out of
wasn't
St.
my fault.
John's.
Yeah, but it was really Dad
Oh, my
because
God.
I remember being in the
I kicked out of
office.
St. John's.
I remember being in the office, and I remember what was the head nun's name? Sister Joseph.
Sister Joseph.
Sister Joseph. She was on the phone. She called Dad. Big mistake, right? She called Dad, and she said, "Your son got in a fight today at school." And
Dad probably was like, yes.
all I
that's my
know
boy.
is
Did he win?
after that,
Yeah.
she said, "Well, maybe we better, we better get together and talk about this." What I didn't know is on the other line, Dad said, "Well, did he win?"
Yeah.
That sounds like Dad.
Next thing I
That's
know,
our
back at
dad.
Thomas
Oh, I
Kelly.
remember when my son Bill was in kindergarten. I got a phone call. The teacher said, "I can't control your son. I cannot control him. He doesn't listen. He won't sit still." I think looking back, he probably had ADD or
Who's
something.
this?
Billy.
Oh,
He was so hyper, and every year from that, even in fourth, every year, I get a call from the teacher. "We need to have a meeting. Your son is like a little social butterfly. He doesn't listen. He just wants to talk and walk around." And
That was right. Yeah.
So I got,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
just one little quick story about Joey. I also got a phone call, I think it was 6th grade, and the principal called me and said, "I've got your son in the office because he's been selling
drugs.
dirty."
okay.
No, yeah. He's been selling a dirty joke involving candy bars for a nickel. Selling?
Oh, what?
And
What's
she
that?
read
A
it
dirty
to me.
joke? What's
Well,
that?
it was at like the powerhouse, and it was all names of candy bars, but they were suggestive.
Oh,
And
okay.
I started laughing
Where
on
did
the
you get
phone because she read it
Who's
to me on
that?
the phone. It was hysterical. But he was in trouble for selling it, and I'm the bad mother, and so it's like, "I'll come and get him right now." I'm laughing at that joke. I said, "I'm sorry, this is just very funny, but yeah, I get it. He was not supposed to be doing that. He's selling it for a nickel."
Well,
He
Brian's
sold one. That's what he sold me.
Brian's first day at St. John's, I dropped him off and drove to work, and I just had gotten to work, and I got a phone call, and the teacher wanted me to come back and talk to her, and I had just dropped him off. The kids were lined up in single file to walk in the door, and Brian stepped in the window instead of following the line and going, and the teacher said, "What's wrong with him?"
Oh.
And
Just taking a shortcut.
yeah, the window was open and it was low. He just stepped in the window and thought, "Why should I stand in line
What's
for
wrong with
when I
him?
can
That's
go in the
kinda
classroom through the window?"
What's
Yeah.
wrong?
Come to find out later that the woman was drinking on her job. She had
Oh, wow.
booze, and because I smelled it when she called me, I could smell booze on her breath. It was
On the
eight-
through the
no,
phone?
On the phone?
No, when she called me on the phone and made me come in. She made me come in there. I could
Oh,
smell it when I
okay.
was there talking to her. It was 8 in the morning.
Really good sense of
Oh,
smell.
yeah.
Getting
no.
back to Pat in 6th grade, I can't remember, Mary something was your teacher.
Oh,
Because we were
goodness.
still,
I know what you're gonna tell. I know what she's gonna tell.
You do?
Yeah.
Your
Anyway,
6th grade
she-
now?
Yes, because he was kicked out of St. John's, I put him back in Thomas Kelly.
Okay.
And Mary Hanson, I think was her name.
Mrs.
Miss,
Goebel?
no,
Global?
her name was Mary, I don't know.
Well, there was a
'Cause-
Miss Hanson.
Yeah.
We were so mean to her.
That's okay. She told me, because after we moved back down, from Eureka, I went back and subbed at Thomas Kelly again, but you were already gone. But she said, "Oh, I remember having your brother, Pat." She said, "All I remember about him was seeing the back of his head." Because, which one of the Flynns were in your class? John.
John.
Or his brother?
John.
John.
No, John. In fact, to finish that story, when I
Which one died?
kicked out and went to some, I was protecting John from Bobby Higgins.
Oh,
This
he
is-
was at St. John's too?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I met
So
him.
you both were kicked out?
And Mrs. Flynn worked in the office. That's how she could. The only reason they could afford to send
Yeah.
John and Kevin there, right? And Julie and Mike. And well, she lost her job. So my first day at Thomas Kelly, I walk in the room and there's John. So that's how we became best friends.
Oh,
from
okay.
that. But anyway, so I'm going back to finish that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought you were going to tell a different story.
Why was his back of his head?
Because he was
We're
never,
always talking.
he's turning
we're-
around looking at John
We're
Flynn.
talking and having
Oh,
Never
okay.
to the
playing around and
teacher.
stuff. But,
Yeah.
uh,
But what story did you think
you're gonna